Biology Part 236. Artificial Selection. Deliberate selection of organisms with certain characteristics has been main method used by plant and animal breeders for centuries and has transformed the appearance of many domestic species. Modern cereal varieties yield several times the amount of grain produced by the wild grasses from which they are descended, and livestock yields are tremendously improved. The huge diversity of the breeds of domestic dogs, from the Chihuahuas of the Great Danes, illustrate the extent of the variation which can be produced. In evolutionary terms, these changes are astonishingly rapid, typically on a time scale of a few tens or hundreds of years instead of thousands or millions of years. Artificial selection provides a useful model for natural selection, indicating that the key mechanisms of evolution can indeed produce dramatic changes in form. Selfishness, altruism, and social behavior. In theory of evolution is to be accepted. If the theory of evolution is to be accepted, then it must be possible to explain the origin of all observed characteristics of organisms. A single exception which could not be properly accounted for would require the theory to be modified or rejected. The final section of this tutorial considers how animal behavior is interpreted in evolutionary terms. Some forms of behavior are easy to explain, but the others appear, at least superficially, to contradict the animal view of the evolution by natural selection. Selfish acts are common features of the animal behavior. Many seabirds, like the black-headed gulls, breed in large colonies with nests only a meter or so apart. Although the colony provides protection from predators of other species, newly hatched chicks are quite liable to be eaten by the adult birds from nearby nests. Similarly, a male lion which is successful in taking over a pride will often kill any young lions, which are offsprings of the previous dominant male. Such acts are likely to be flavored by natural selection because they increase the reproductive potential for the individual, allowing him to leave more offspring. Much less obviously adaptive are the behavioral acts which involve individual sacrifice. Many small birds give characteristics of alarm calls when a predator such as a hawk first appears. Such an action warns other birds of the danger but must at least slightly reduce the individual's chances of escape. Similarly, adult male baboons take up the exposed position on the outside of their troop and will threaten the approaching predators or rival troops. Worker honeybees possess harp string which may remain embedded in the skin of their victims. Stinging a predator provides effective protection for the hive, but the bee itself is often fatally injured. These examples illustrate the altruism which is defined in the biological terms, the behavior which reduces an individual's chances of survival, while at the same time increasing the probability of the survival for a different individual. It is very important to ask how altruism could evolve, because at first sight it seems to conflict with the fundamental principles of natural selection. The answer to this puzzle lies in the concept of kin selection, that is, the selection in favor of the blood relations, the blood relatives. For instance, in the We'll talk about the blood relatives in detail in our next video.